Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving deep, no pun intended, into the Acton and Agua Dulce real estate market.
And we've got just the person to guide us, right?
Absolutely. We're joined by local expert Connor McIver. He's known as the first responder realtor.
Catchy title.
It is, and he really lives up to it. You can find him online at santaclaritaopenhouses.com.
I've seen his website. He's got daily updates on the market, right?
He does, which is amazing. He's also the author of, get this, How to Buy Sell Real Estate, Santa Clarita Edition 2025.
So he's literally written the book on it.
Pretty much. And we're lucky to have his insights, especially now as we're heading into the holidays.
You'd think things would be slowing down, right? With all the festivities and such.
You'd think so. But get this, Connor's predicting 49 new listings just in the Santa Clarita Valley today.
Wow, that's a lot of activity for this time of year. What's his take on why things are so busy?
He's got a few theories. He thinks some sellers might be looking ahead to year-end tax strategies.
So wrapping things up before the year's over to maybe, minimize those capital gains?
Exactly. It's a smart move for those who qualify, I guess. He also mentioned relocations as a factor.
People maybe finishing up job transfers, family moves, that sort of thing?
Yeah, exactly. Before the holidays really kick in.
Hmm.
And believe it or not, he even mentioned the recent election.
Interesting. Though, of course, he didn't take sides or anything.
Right. But it makes you think, right? Real estate's connected to so much more than just houses and mortgages. It's tied to the whole social and economic landscape.
Absolutely. Big events definitely impact where people choose to live, when they decide to move, all of that.
Speaking of impacts, Connor also pointed out this surge in price changes this week.
How many we're talking?
42 adjustments. That's a pretty big jump. Makes you wonder why so many sellers are making changes now, right?
It does. Is it a response to the market, maybe? Are buyers being a bit more hesitant these days?
That's one possibility, according to Connor. Sellers might be adjusting to stay competitive, attract those offers.
Makes sense. Got to be flexible in a dynamic market like this, right?
For sure. Now, on the flip side, we're seeing fewer cancellations than expected. Only 21 this week.
That's a little surprising, especially since, didn't you say it's a tighter market now? More buyers and more inventory?
I did. But maybe, and this is just a thought, that abundance of choice is creating a sense of urgency.
The fear of missing out.
Exactly. FOMO in action. Buyers might be worried that if they hesitate, they'll lose their dream home.
Especially with so many other buyers out there.
Right. Now, shifting gears a bit, Connor had some strong advice for anyone navigating this market. It's about choosing a lender.
Okay, what's the scoop?
He stressed finding out your lender's availability before you even need them.
You mean like their actual hours when they're reachable?
Exactly. Especially on weekends.
Yeah.
He painted this picture. Imagine you find your dream home on a Saturday.
Oh no, and then?
You're ready to make an offer, but your lender is off enjoying their weekend, totally unreachable until Monday.
That would be a disaster. In this market, every hour counts. Someone else could swoop in and snack that house.
Exactly. And Connor pointed out how a readily available lender can be a game changer.
In what way?
They can provide real-time loan adjustments.
So your offer's competitive, but also, within your budget.
Exactly. But here's the thing. He also made a really interesting observation.
What's that?
He said credit unions and smaller banks, they often lack the infrastructure for weekend support.
Wow, that's a major disadvantage in a competitive market.
Right. So let's get to the heart of today's deep dive. Acton and Agua Dulce. Now, Connor's using 45 days of data for these areas, not his usual 30.
Why the longer time frame? Not enough sales lately.
You got it. He needs more data to get a clearer picture of the trends.
Yeah.
So Acton first, the average sales price is $951,680. Median time to sell, 65 days.
Okay, got it. What about Agua Dulce?
Agua Dulce is looking even pricier. Average sales price is $1.12 million. Median time to sell, 76.5 days. And the homes are a bit bigger on average, too.
Interesting. So Agua Dulce is trending higher than Acton.
It is. And Connor pointed out this general principle in real estate. The closer you get to Los Angeles, the higher the prices climb.
Which makes sense, given that Agua Dulce is a bit closer to the city than Acton.
Exactly. But what I found really interesting is how Connor talked about buying a home in this market, especially with all the talk about interest rates.
Oh yeah, he's not a fan of banking on future rate drops, is he?
Not at all. He's all about focusing on your current financial picture. Buy a home that fits your budget now, not some hypothetical future scenario.
Such a practical approach. After all, who knows what the future holds, right? Interest rates are just one piece of the puzzle.
Absolutely. It's about making sustainable choices for the long haul.
Makes sense, yeah. So let's unpack these numbers for Acton and Agua Dulce. What stands out to you?
Well, that price difference is pretty striking. I mean, over $150,000 more on average in Agua Dulce compared to Acton.
Right. What do you think is going on there?
Probably a few things, right? We saw those average square footage numbers.
Mm.
Agua Dulce's got those bigger properties, and then, of course, that proximity to L.A., that plays a role.
Yeah, buyers willing to shell out a bit more for that close to the city lifestyle makes sense.
So more space, that city vibe, Agua Dulce might be the way to go. But, you pay for it.
Trade-offs, right. And what about that time to sell? Over 2 months in both places, that's not exactly a quick turnaround.
What does that tell us about these markets?
Well, for sellers, maybe a little patience is needed. Homes aren't flying off the shelves here. Could be the time of year, the types of properties, who knows? Maybe even the overall economy playing a part.
And for buyers,
Maybe a bit more breathing room. Time to think things through, really find the right spot.
yeah, good reminder that real estate isn't always about jumping on the first thing you see.
Yeah.
Sometimes slowing down is better.
For sure. And those median times to sell, 65 days for Acton, 76 and a half for Agua Dulce, those are interesting.
Median, that's the midpoint, right?
Mhm.
So half sold faster, half slower.
Exactly. Gives us a sense of the typical time frame, but individual properties, they can vary a lot.
So sellers, manage those expectations. Don't expect a bidding war overnight.
Right. And buyers, you might have some time to explore those options. Now, speaking of taking your time, I loved what Connor said about interest rates and buying a home.
Yeah, don't buy based on the hope that rates will drop. Wise advice.
Focus on what you can handle right now, financially.
Exactly. He gave that example about police officers relying on overtime pay to make those mortgage payments.
Oh, yeah. Risky move. What if that overtime dries up?
Exactly. Circumstances change, right?
Yeah.
Got to be realistic about those potential variables, not overextend yourself.
Absolutely. Make those sustainable choices no matter what happens with interest rates or anything else.
Right. So Acton and Agua Dulce, definitely some interesting trends, even with the holidays upon us. Buyers and sellers got to be savvy in these unique markets.
And prepared financially. Work with those professionals, like lenders, who are actually available when you need them.
Couldn't agree more. So Connor left us with a question to ponder. Are we, the listeners, financially ready to buy in this market right now?
Good question. It's not just about qualifying for a mortgage. It's about whether buying makes sense for your bigger financial goals, your risk tolerance, all that.
So listeners, think about that as you consider your next move. Be realistic, be informed, and most importantly, be prepared.
Be proactive. Take control. Don't let the market push you around.
And that's where resources like Connor's website, SantaClaritaOpenHouses.com, become so valuable. He's got those detailed market reports, breakdowns by price range, tons of listings to browse.
And his book, How to Buy and Sell Santa Clarita Real Estate, like having a personal real estate guru in your pocket.
And those daily updates. He covers a different city every day of the week.
Wow, that's commitment. You can really get a feel for what's happening across the whole Santa Clarita Valley.
It's comprehensive, and it shows how much he cares about sharing his knowledge, helping people make smart decisions.
Yeah, he's definitely earned that first responder realtor title.
Yeah.
Always there to help those who serve our community.
Absolutely. So wrapping up our deep dive on Acton and Agua Dulce, I think the big takeaway is knowledge is power.
For sure. The more you know about the market, the better you'll navigate it, whether you're buying or selling.
And you don't have to go it alone. Experts like Connor are out there to guide you.
So do your research, ask those questions, find a professional you trust, and who knows, maybe your next deep dive will be into the joys of owning your own home.
It really is. And speaking of deep dives, Connor had one last piece of advice that I thought was, well, pretty insightful. Before you even start looking at houses, crunching numbers, he said to just take a minute and think about what you really want in a home, in a community.
Yeah, get clear on those priorities first, what kind of lifestyle you're after.
Exactly. And he talked about how Acton and Agua Dulce, they offer pretty different lifestyles,
In what way?
Well, Acton's got that more rural feel, horses, wide open spaces, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Whereas Agua Dulce, being a bit closer to the city, it's more of a blend, right? Country living with some urban conveniences.
So it's not just about the house itself, it's the whole community vibe. Does it fit you?
Exactly. He actually suggested, picture yourself in each area, walking those local shops in Acton maybe, or hiking those Agua Dulce hills on the weekend. What feels right?
Oh, I like that. A little visualization exercise.
Right. Tap into those feelings, and then you can start looking at the data, the listings, all that practical stuff.
It's a process, right? Figure out what you want, then dive into the details.
Well said. So I think we've learned a lot today about Acton and Agua Dulce. It's an active market, even with the holidays coming up, but it's got its own, what, quirks?
Nuances, yeah.
We talked about how important it is to have a lender who's, available when you need them.
Absolutely.
And of course, understanding how pricing works in these areas, that time to sell.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing, being financially ready, knowing your goals.
Yeah, and buying a home, it's more than just numbers, right? It's finding a place that truly feels like home.
Could agree more. So whether you're a seasoned investor or just starting to think about buying, remember, knowledge is power.
It really is.
Arm yourself with information, connect with experts like Connor McIver, and then, well, go for it.
Happy house hunting, everyone.